Hi, everybody. Hope everyone is doing as well as they can be. I have a couple of questions. Thank you for those who sent them in, and all of you who have been sending them in, of course. We're still a little short in questions, so I really appreciate any that comes in. Okay, this one is from Norma McNaughton from Kingston. She says she's attempting to cope with old guilt and shame with much difficulty. Going back 30 years, information of these issues were not available, and now, how can she manage new information that causes so much pain from past experiences? Well, that's a difficult question, Norma. One of the most important things to try and remember for all of us in any way, shape, or form, if you're really sincere about trying to understand how you function and even perhaps why you function that way, although, my goodness, that is really not something that is very easy to figure out, is to remember you're a human being. And we start growing pretty early in life, and we take on all kinds of patterns and different ways of functioning, acting, and we have no idea what we're doing. Generally, eventually, you might be lucky enough to pay attention to a few things that you think you function like, but at the same time, you have to try and remember that, first of all, spiritual growth isn't about being perfect. I know I've said that before, but my goodness, we are so wrapped up in methods that we have been involved with that relate to all kinds of things. For example, one example is judgment. We've been maybe a little bit admonished for doing some things from time to time, especially all through our early years. Big impression, those early years. And also admonished if you're not doing things and making a big splash in the sociological area around friends and neighbors and high school and all that, public school and all the rest of the stuff that goes with it. And we have religious backgrounds and how people think you have to be, and we have survival issues. Just basic things that we do because it's how we think we need to do them, because if we don't do them that way, maybe our parental background or our emotional backgrounds will be looked upon as you don't really mean very much to anybody. All of this sort of stuff, and it comes at us from all angles. It's a dilemma. And if we look at it a little closely, some folks are really sincere about wanting to be truly spiritual. And then the definitions start flying about what that might mean. This is very difficult for us, because often we've been told that if we don't do things perfectly, we'll not be included in those who could be spiritual. I haven't found that to be actually true. However, trying not to hurt anybody else as an adult is helpful, and that's going to be difficult. You think maybe not, but that's not true, because how you function you will function in a kind of a way that you believe you need to function for a purpose that relates to you being the you that should be acclaimed as a valued person. Here's the judgment aspect here, or the non-judgment aspect here. And this is tricky because in our world, there really is no perfect way to function in life. You take a look at 8 billion people, and we're not talking about Canada here, we're talking about the whole world. And 8 billion people have different ideas about what they think might be the most important way to function. And that is usually dictated by how you were in the early development of your life. Early meaning from 0 to whatever your age is now. Having a sense of humor about it isn't what most of us have. So when you're looking at guilt and shame, learning how to find a place within yourself where you can do some forgiving of how you function.
Sorry, some what?
Some forgiving of how you function. It's a key. We live in a world that is filled with emotional dispositional processes. And it's fundamental to our world. We like to think that we're smart and all the rest of the stuff. And it's very physical. So you have a emotional sense, if you're really kind of sincere about growing, you have an emotional sense about how you could have been, you should have been, how these things might play out. And in fact, none of that makes a lot of sense, but it makes perfect sense. If you're in a moment, in a large emotional engagement with life, you're in a moment where you have decided that this was right and this was wrong and that was this and this was right, and this pattern and this way of speaking is the only way to speak and that way of speak is bad or good, and you have extremes. One extreme is you can't be good anytime. Another extreme is you never notice when you're good or bad. You just notice that you're right. This is a dilemma because this usually comes out of the fear of not being accepted. And that usually relates to family backgrounds. And we all have a little bit of that stuff in us. I remember a Christian story about Mary Magdalene being protected by Jesus. And so I don't know why I remember that, but I do remember it. And he says, those who have never done anything at all in their lives to be thought of as not perfect, not those words, you throw the first stone. And there isn't anybody. Anybody who's healthy, honestly, who hasn't engaged in some way that might have hurt another, might have hurt yourself. So it's a dilemma. One thing, try to pull back the best you can from your judgment orientation. Try to understand. It's not going to be perfect, because none of us are. But if you try to remember that your relationship with you is a person relatively growing, And that includes all the spiritual dynamics that you can come up with. I know a lot of folks decide how important they are spiritually, and they become very important, and they sell that idea to other people. This goes on all over the world. That's part of being learning how to grow up. And this is very difficult for us. We have these ideas, and we usually look to folks who have been recognized as being spiritual and who've run the gauntlet of the Ten Commandments. Or, if you don't follow that line, you follow another line. What it is that you have to be like to engage as a spiritual person. This is pretty scary stuff because it normally is about how you see your relationship with you, or you allow yourself to see how your relationship is with you. And it can be pretty harsh, or it can be very lenient, and a little bit out of reality. Our dilemma is that we see other normal people all the time, every single day. And if we look around in North America, we look around in our histories in Europe, in China, in Russia, in any country, there is a strong political bias that begins to occur, individually as well as nationwide. And that political bias depends on what the politic of that time is selling. One of the biggest dilemmas that is very, very difficult for us as human beings is the one that states, if I do this, this, and this, I will be recognized as a very important person, and if not, I'll politicize that, and I'll make sure that other people will know that I'm important by doing this, this, and this. In our world, one of the most unfortunate things is, and fortunate things in a strange way, is you may do that automatically and not know you're doing it. Or you might do it purposefully for reasons that you have in the back of your mind, thinking that no one knows, which is always a little bit of nonsense. Some will figure it out. And if you're not doing anything so much like that, others will think you are because they're doing it, and they will not like the fact that you're doing it and getting more attention. You know, all of that stuff is just what happens to be a method of engaging with life. And we have all tried to survive those particular ways of engaging by either using them or not, or at least attempting not to use them, even though they're there and we see them, and because we see them, we may even use them ourselves. This is a dilemma with us. As a species, we do these things. When you feel shame and guilt about doing something and beat yourself up a bit about it, know that neighbors are doing the same thing from time to time. They try to hide that difficulty. If you become really sensitive, you'll know when they're hiding it. Or you'll judge that they're hiding it, even if you don't know, because you're selling yourself. This is all part of what we have here. And little pieces are in everybody. Do your very best to try to understand what shame and guilt is. But at the same time, do your best to look to attempting not to the best you can. If it's too much, maybe some therapy might be helpful. But it doesn't mean that you can't engage as a spiritual person. That's really key. The dilemma is that often folks will judge other people as not very spiritual because they did this, or they do that, or they did that, or they did something else, or something else. And I only mentioned 5 without saying anything. There could be 55 or 1,001 where the physical body is too, and your instincts are too difficult to handle. We have a brain and a nervous system. It's not the same for everybody. We have reflexes that are trained. We're aghast at some of the things that might come out of our mouths sometimes. That means you're healthy because you are aghast. If you're not, that's unhealthy. You have a system going on inside where you're trying to find a balance in how you function in life, period. The rigidity that we all have about this is right, this is wrong, this is good, this is bad, and all the rest of the stuff, and they are this, and they are this, and what are they, how that, that is all reflexive stuff that relates to a kind of a gearing that you have inside yourself that's being cultivated through your lifetime. See if you've messed up a little bit. Try to pull it back. It may happen again. You'll recognize it if you're reasonably healthy as a human being. Let's say you don't recognize it. Every now and then, in spite of not recognizing it, you'll notice something, even in another person. What will happen is the intensity in you will get you to pay more attention to it. It might mean, not saying it does, but it might mean that you have an aspect of that in you. Ease off best you can. And try to understand you a little bit, understanding that you are imperfect. And when I say that word, I'm talking about personality engagement with existence, with life. I mean, all along, everyone has an engagement with life where you meet a person, you engage the way you think you need to engage to have them be interested in how valuable you are. Or if you're trained differently, you meet a person, you engage, and you move back a bit. Not forward a bit, back a bit. Because you're trying to understand how they are so that you can engage in an appropriate way with them. Other ways, you just do what you do all the time because that's the most important way to be. Both of those are like on the edge of 2 different styles. And in the middle, there's a number of other styles, quite a number actually, if you count up our population. So trying to understand you as an individual and the instincts that you've had to deal with and the natural reflexive responses, the anger that lies inside, the love that lies inside everyone, whether it's for yourself or for the world or people. When you look at history, you'll be shocked to find that we have not always been a species that has been kind. That's because we're kind of young-ish. In that, we think that we have to make some great mark physically, emotionally, sort of mentally, to be recognized as valuable as an individual. The internal life of each of us is really, truly unknown to others. They can make assessments and judgments, and they tell you they know stuff, but it may not be true at all. There's only one way that can happen, and it's a dilemma. I'll try to give an example. And we've been talking about energy and engaging with perceptions and how, for example, in the next question, it's asked, we have many different levels of engagements, and that's true. And within those levels, there are other levels. Okay, let's talk about 3 or 4. Physical, emotional, mental, a construct we call personality, and it's a construct. And some people have a concept of the self or the soul, and some people don't believe that exists. I've talked about it like a reservoir of various lives and different frequencies that lie within a whole form that is trying to open so that energy from a higher state can operate into the physical, emotional, mental, and personality orientation. But when you're thinking of this, keep in mind, and I'll just say, keep in mind Norma, but I'm talking about everybody. There's no exceptions here. This is exceptional nonsense. You cannot very easily shift the norm that you fall in love with. Unless you're willing to take a look at it, because you are it, and say something like, I would like to be more like that, but this is the way I normally am. That's being honest with yourself. I often say that. Well, at the physical level, energy can come in quite coarse, honest, real root, gonad, solar plexus, even heart center, even throat, even brow, even crown. It is well known that that is true because there are many who have had that happen. That in itself relates to a punctuation of an individual's personas as being valuable. This is not very deep spiritual growth, but it is the beginning of something that might be helpful. This is not something that I'm making up. It's been known for anyone who has ever grown on our planet knows this. The dilemma is that at first it enflowers. It makes great the style, the expression of a personality. And this is a very important thing on our planet. So that's the physical personality construct that is there. And that energy that you perceive is the energy that is there to perceive at that initial level of engagement. The intensity can be emotional, physical, even slightly mental, because we have one of those things, a mind. And at the same time, it pulls in an intensity, a willfulness related to the self, or the personalized version of what you believe must be true. This goes on into another level, and that is often the emotional level. And that is still fairly coarse. It can go into a mental and personality level, so that the problem is you begin to see, and I'd like you to listen to this one, please. You begin to see what's going on, what your agendas are, not to devalue them, but to begin to really understand that that may not be how you wish to grow. Initially, it may be the way you wish to grow. Because in the land of the blind, the one-eyed person is king. It's a dilemma. Not a negative thing at all. It's wonderful because you cannot stop movement. You can elongate it. Once you have started to grow, you cannot stop the growing, but you elongate it at the level of the personalized version. So that's what elongation is. But as I said, not negative unless you make it that way. And the only negativity that would exist under those circumstances is that you would be elevating yourself to a point where you believe that you're the only one that's really great. And everyone is great. Ish. Because they exist. I know you've heard me say this before, but that love that you give to the character of each and every one of us gives to ourselves is an aspect of love that you are utilizing. You're using it for a purpose not relating to helping others. I've had this discussion with a number of people who are really able, at least to some degree, and every one of them expressed the knowledge that they had moments of wishing to utilize that energy to make sure other people knew they were really something else. And it took a little while for them to back away from that and to learn that that backing away enabled them to move into a different state. Having said that, it's easy for somebody to tell you that, even when it's not true. And we tend to believe whatever we want to believe. And we tend to believe from where we are, because we validate ourselves so that we can feel comforted by that same thing. This is just normal. Try it out in anything that we would talk about it. You ever had a discussion with another person and you thought you should win? It's the same principle. So the difficulty is giving yourself a little bit of leeway and trying to understand that instincts are so profoundly strong in your life and all through your life that you will have, at least from time to time, a little bit of noticing on your part, all our parts, my part as well, that maybe doing something in some way might not be helpful, and maybe trying to back away from doing that is at your disposal, and maybe you do. No one's going to notice. But the backing away has been helpful to you, in that you had the opportunity to engage in a manner that might elevate you, but you didn't. And you backed away to give pause to others to try and understand beyond the level that they could, even if they can't do that. And they don't know they can't. In a kind of a way, if you do that with yourself, where you back away a bit, you recognize and understand that these things you would not like to do again, but you'll notice the instincts will come up nonetheless. Soften down, help them. Yeah, yes, you can do the life map. You can do the redirecting if you can get to understand where that's coming from. It's difficult. There are assumptions about where those centers are activated in us, and often those assumptions are just what they are, just assumptions. And it sounds like as if they're real. There is a place and a time when they do become real, and you can't help noticing them. At that point, you begin to understand that the link with the higher state does not follow the personality's dictates about what spirituality is. And this is very difficult for us to understand, because it cuts through a lot of personality stuff. Until that point, it's all personality stuff. It's always been my hope that very subtle awareness will intervene with coarser personality engagements. And I know that can happen. I've seen it happen before. And this is the nature of spiritual growth. So, slow down your judgments, because that builds a kind of intense, coarser vibration within you. It's like building another skin. And it's not so easy to let go of. At least if you're the one that's judging you, you become important. It's strange. It doesn't make any sense at all. And it hurts. And that hurting is not helpful. So learn how to be respectful and kind to yourself, but honest with yourself, to the best of your ability. You're not going to be perfect at it. That's not the issue. Issue is little at a time, and be okay. I might have written down a couple of other things. I don't know. Let me see. Oh yeah, just what I said it in different words. Just make peace with yourself, if you can. There are times when folks can be determined not to make peace with themselves, because there is a sense of kind of devotion to the importance of putting yourself down, or others for that matter. And that's hard to get out of, because somehow that values the personalization that's linked in to the way you see yourself somehow. Be okay. Everyone is worthwhile. And if you hear people saying that they're not, don't buy into it the best you can. You will be tempted to, but don't buy into it the best you can. Here's another, thank you very much, Norma. Really hard question, because all of us have these things. It's so difficult to understand that people on the whole do not live perfect lives, but they can follow perfectly a pattern that they either don't know they have or don't wish to change, because to them it's not relevant. Change is not important, because what is important is the pattern that they believe they need to keep. Do the best you can, and I wish you well with it. Oh, by the way, there are quite a few books you can look online if you want to go deeper into the business of trying to personally deal with shame and guilt. Kind of up to you. Take a look online. There's a few of them. That will bring you face to face with your judgment, as well as maybe it will be helpful to you. This one is from Marie-José. When we get to the layers that surround an individual, why does it seem that to get to the self seems challenging? When we can at least see the layers, are we moving along? Well, I talked a little bit about that. It's really interesting. I remember being in India one time, and it was a young yogi there, and I had a couple of friends with me, and we went in to see he was teaching yoga of a kind, including breath work that he was quite able at. And he had a very heavy Hindu accent, and it was very hard to hear. So I was lucky enough to be able to, for some reason, I had an ear for what he was saying. So I was kind of doing an English, Hindi-English translation. And all three of us were trying to engage with this level of yoga that this person was talking about. And it was quite fascinating. Yet, one of the most interesting things about it was that because we were doing a lot of breath work, we were also engaging with a lot of emotion and a lot of close to the body, because that's where the breath work really works. And that means emotion as well. So we would always take a day off in between these things because there would be more emotion, and there would be, we got to the point where we could see it and we started laughing at it and saying, this emotion, we don't like this. All kinds of different things. Anyway, we were having fun with it. And in the last day that we were there, we were leaving, and there was another gentleman who was in a deep, deep meditative engagement, eyes open. And he had been engaged on a mind level, different than a mental level. Mental level, of course, we talked about before, has a lot of emotion in it. And you can see that, you can test that for yourself. And as I was going up the stairs, he was capable of transmitting mind level. This has nothing to do with transmit energy the best you can, although all kinds of folks go through that particular stage of engagement because it's related to being valuable personally. A certain level of that can happen, but has really nothing to do with spirituality. It has to do with intense emotion, being able to send emotion or send your will into another person. As you become more spiritual, you don't do that because it's not called upon to have other people be like you, that kind of thing. But it does open the brow up and a couple of other centers, especially the solar plexus and root, and the gonad center, by the way. So as we're going upstairs, he sent this one thought. And I have to tell you this because this is important in the idea that I was talking about a little earlier, which I did not finish. It was the engagement with mind where your mind goes empty and he speaks a word that relates to a higher state. And that word was clear, and he knew that I could perceive it just because he was helping me to perceive it. And when I turned back, big smile, and nod and nod. And what that does to an individual is helps them as time allows, as the moment allows, helps them to know. It helped me to know that this person was fully engaged with spirit, as opposed to fully engaged with those early levels of engagement with the personality construct. I've had a number of these lessons because these things are valuable to understand that spirituality has nothing to do with the elevation of the personality construct. We don't understand this. There is so much we don't understand. But one other thing that's really sensitivity occurs in an individual on the personalized levels as well, can be on the mind plane as well, that you engage with another and you see their patterns and you don't want to interfere with them because their patterns are the thing that helps them to survive. So that combative level, this kind of thing, is hurtful. So when you're engaging with levels that are different, and this brings up the other idea of assessment and judgment of others, you understand that not only the dilemma of an individual, but you understand how they are really attempting to do what they can to do something within them that might be really helpful in the engagement of a link with those higher states. This is hard for any of us to understand, but maybe a little bit valuable if you can get to the point where you try to understand that the levels around us that we hold so dear and we can't let go of hold us in a position so that we can defend those patterns. And we do that without even knowing we have them, or sometimes we do it with knowing we have them. Because there is a reflexive, stylistic engagement that has been constructed physically, emotionally. Sometimes, basically, it ends there. And there's a lot of browbeating to maintain those constructs. And that makes it very hard for us to allow ourselves to let go but in spite of these things, we attempt to persist because those higher states do exist. And it's a dilemma because based on how we see the world and how we see, higher states should be doing this and should be doing that. I'm about to have another birthday. And how I made it to my birthday, I have no idea. You could say genetics, the luck of the draw. It's probably close to the truth. You could say that Marlene fed me better in my last number of years, the last 35 years or so, or 40 years. And but I do miss those jelly donuts an awful lot. And the copious amounts of coffee I drank like a fool, which I can't drink anymore. But these are, let's say, patterns that we maybe can, some of us can do without. I know a lot of you are very healthy and some of you are not. Sometimes you regain relative health and sometimes you don't. And we are human beings. And that's difficult for us. And we're still learning about our engagement with being a human being. Please find a way to be happy the best you can and enjoy life. And if you don't right now, find something. Get hobbies. Do something that can make you feel more comfortable. I'll try and listen to those words myself and follow through. I like to do certain things, and makes me kind of happy. Find your happy spots. Expand them a little and enjoy the best you can. Go slow and realize that spiritual growth is a valuable thing, and so is your personality. Finding some place where you feel happiness, or happy enough so that you can smile and feel more comfortable. Be careful as you grow. You literally are aware of a lot more emotion, a lot more physical intensity, and a lot more, let's say, sensitivity to the world around you, to the life map on it. It's easy to forget. Meditate as much as you can, but in a balanced manner. Don't make it your whole deal. It makes you more sensitive to emotion, because that's where the bulk of the people on the planet are. I wish you so much well. Good night, everybody. We're going to meditate now. And I wish you all well. I think I said that before. There we go.
Mahalakshmi Vaishnavi Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha Mamba Lalita Devi Ma Saraswati Brahmi Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha Mamba Lalita Devi Durga Devi Shankari Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha Mamba Lalita Devi Uma Parvati Shive Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha Mamba Lalita Devi Ma Bhavani Ambike Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha Mamba Lalita Devi Annapurna Lakshmi Ma Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha Mamba Maya Vishwamohini Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha Mamba Lalita Devi Ishwari Narayani Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha Mamba Lalita Devi Nitya Parameshwari Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha Mamba Lalita Devi Jagadambe Janani Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha Mamba Lalita Devi Tvam Ananda Sagari Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha Sarvamangala Mangalye Shive Sarvartha Sadhike Sharanye Triambake Devi Narayani Namostu Jatadanaye Namo Namaha.
Now we'll just do the balancing and the grounding, and have a good evening, everybody. Take care.